Thank you very much. I'm Patrik from Limbic Life, and today I'm talking about how we can use science to work on the interaction, how we interact with virtual reality. So we've heard a lot of talks this morning and this afternoon about how science can be a wonderful thing in virtual reality, helping us deal with pain, helping us dealing with mental states, to mentally heal, to psychophysiologically heal, to physically make life easier and better. So when you look at VR is a new technology, and when we look at it, we have two aspects. We have creating content and creating the interaction of VR. And the science we've seen this morning and this afternoon is mostly about content. It's what do we put into VR in order to have those benefits. So we're looking at the other side. We're looking at the side of how do we interact with VR, because there are some very, very big challenges. Some have been mentioned, some have not been mentioned yet. One of the big elephants in the room is nauseation. People are wearing VR goggles and they want to move around and they get nauseous. And the other one, of course, is one big question: how do we move in VR? So far, we're using existing technologies like joysticks, gaze tracking, pointers. But the problem is VR is supposed to be like real life. It's called virtual reality. So in real life, imagine I'm walking here. I have to use my hand. If I want to wave to you, I have to stop walking. Hi. Yeah? Or gaze tracking. I look here, I'm walking here. I look there, I'm walking there. So all these things, they're good for certain computer games. For certain applications, they're wonderful. Or the pointers. I point there and whoops, I'm there. They're wonderful for certain applications. We know them. They have existed for quite a few decades, most of them. But the question is, how real can our experience be and how convenient? Because in VR, we want to function like a normal life. I want to be able to wave at you, look there, and walk here. And I want to have uninterrupted use of my hands and of my gaze in VR. Another big challenge is the third dimension. In this world, there's something called gravity, and we have mass. So that means if I want to go up there, I cannot just go. How am I going to do that? I'm not Superman. I cannot jump like this. But in VR, if this were in VR, well, there's no gravity. There's no unless you design it into it. So I could just, somehow go up there. So we have a new dimension, which, as humans, is challenging for us because, A, we're not used to it. We're not birds or fish that are designed by evolution to function in full 3D. We have height anxiety. We have natural instincts that tell us, ooh, this is high. If this were 5 meters, I would feel different now, even though physically I'm standing here safely. So let's use science to work on the interface with VR. And let's use neuroscience, because like this, we can use the knowledge that exists nowadays of how the brain and body work. So, as some of you probably know, why can we walk around? Why can I do things? Why can I could even type on my smartphone here while walking. Why can we do these things together? Because neurologically, we have two separate systems. We have one system that's called eye-hand coordination, which is the focus point of our eye, where I'm looking, processed through our brain. It can do very complex things. It can do very interesting things. It can do multiple things, but it's relatively slow. And it connects to our hands. Right? That's why we can do all those smart things with our hands as humans. And then we have the other system, peripheral vision, through our spine, connected to our locomotive apparatus, to our feet, to our legs. Actually, Professor Philipp Fuchs, who had the opening speech here last year, this is his specialty amongst things. And I was very happy when I saw his speech, because finally somebody wrote a book about this very thing that's going to be very, very important for VR. So we look at it from the same perspective. We say, well, how can we start with how the brain works, with how the nervous system of the human works, and how they work together to create an interface? So we've had this thing called the Limbic chair. It's a very funny chair. We designed it at the MIT Media Lab. You see, you sit in it. I'm balanced, and I can move. And we designed it to have so-called incentivized movements. They're movements that make us happy or express happiness. They go like this, most people will smile. You watch little children, you can immediately tell, are they happy, are they sad? And these programs are very old, and they're kind of the same in all human beings. They're innate human programs. We also designed it to have a large range of movement. I can go like that. I can do all sorts of things if I want to. And of course, I'm balanced. If I do nothing and relax completely, I'm just like this. And it's safe. It's hard to fall. You can fall, but it's really, really hard. So we said, hey, if we have this chair already, why don't we... Oh, and we have the neurological separation in here. Look, I can type, and I can zoom up and down my Excel sheet with my legs. I can do these things completely differently, and we watch these people do this. It's very funny to see them expressing this separation that is so important for us to function in a real world. So we added sensors to the chair. They track the movement of the shells, and we have something new called the Limbic chair VR. Of course, the first thing we did when we had sensors on it, we played games. We observed people, how they perform, and we created games for virtual reality. For example, we had people, we said, okay, so let's fly. You're flying a helicopter. You have your goggles on, you have a fantasy landscape. We say fly top left. So they look, they make this spinal movement, they make the leg movement. And that's kind of what everybody does similarly. Go faster. They go like this. Go left, left, right. So we observed people, and we designed the interface according to what we were observing. And now, I'm in virtual reality. I can go pew, pew. I can grab something. I can do exercises. I can do all sorts of things. I can look where I want. If I want to go straight, I'll just go like this. Or I can go left. Or I can go up. And 90% of people intuitively do the same thing. And another 5% when you tell them. And then there's some who are just wired differently, which in and by itself is interesting. So, of course, we can have wonderful things like this. You're in it, you can run, you can do all the movements in real life. And at the beginning we said, okay, for example, to walk, go like this. But then we found out to walk, if you literally do the movement that you do in the real world, well, most people didn't want that. They wanted to go forward. They wanted to fly. Flying feels better than walking. Duh, who knew? So we have a very compact system. It fits at every desk for developers, for patients, for users. And another funny thing is we have heightened somatic perception. We don't understand quite yet why, but when you touch people very lightly, they feel it more, and they feel it more positively. Thank you very much.